an off-road buggy vehicle accident out at Miko's farm, who lives in Canberra. So, yeah, basically a friend rolled this off-road buggy down a fire road and I went underneath it. So as it rolled over me, I caught the roll cage and basically went under it and just bench pressed it. So it's lucky that I was quite strong because I was like millimeters from it taking my life. So as the roll cage crushed me, it basically snapped my sternum, which protects all your internal organs. My 2 sternum bones then punctured my heart wall lining and then double punctured and collapsed both my lungs. So my heart was bleeding out into my lungs. My lungs were both fully collapsed, and I was on a private property 45 minutes from Cooma with no cell service. So got to Cooma, then obviously had to transfer through to Canberra. It wasn't until I got to Canberra 4 hours later that they put the lung drains in, started draining some of that fluid out, got me into ICU, got me stable, and then spent those 10 days in hospital. So, yeah, it was a pretty gnarly time of my life just to go through that and sort of to fight. I luckily said to one of my best friends, Kai Hoare, who is a mechanic, is in the mountain bike industry. He was with me at the time, and he was the one that did like a guided meditation. So he was 45 minutes deep in that car with me, just like in 1, 2, out 1, 2, in 1, 2, out 1, 2. And so those breaths really saved my life, which was pretty gnarly. And then I went through the complications of trying to wait for my sternum to heal initially. No surgeons in Australia wanting to fix it. So it was quite like a dangerous surgery. Australia's a little bit more conservative. So I actually had to fly to the States and have that surgery done there, which was quite a big out-of-pocket expense. So the first surgery didn't work. So then I snapped the titanium plate in my chest. So they put a hake plate. So it was like the bolts down the side, the bolts across to kind of put it back together. That snapped and didn't work. Went back into surgery again. They then tried these 2 rail systems. So they then put like 2 long bars down my chest. But within 4 days, I came out of that surgery and the bolts in the top were backing out. So it kind of sounded like zip ties. As I'd breathe, the bolts would pull in and out.
Sick.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to have to go back into surgery again. So then got another surgeon on board. And between the 2 of them, they worked together as a team, and they're like, we're going to have to cable it, wire it, and then put a different plate system in. This is 3rd time lucky. Every time I went into that surgery, you sign a dotted line that says, if anything happens, this is like 50% mortality rate. If you get an infection in your sternum, basically that bone near all your organs, like 50% chance you're not going to live. So every time I went in, I just sort of became numb to the fact of going like, I want to be back on my bike. I want to live a healthy future, and we need to get this like fixed. So sign away, go back in, and 3rd time lucky, the 2 surgeons worked together to like pull up my sternum, thread cables between my heart and my sternum, came back through the existing 20 bolt holes that were there at the time from 2 surgeries not working. So like, we'll just pick these 2 holes and thread them through, and they basically like, cabled it, grommeted it together, and then put an X plate across. So over that next 9 months, pretty restricted to like T-Rex position, don't lift anything, don't do anything, don't wash your hair, don't lift your arms above your head, don't drive for 2 months. So by that time I hadn't driven for 6 months. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to get through this. And 6 months later, I got that all clear to basically start light training. So started being on a spin bike, started walking more. And at 9 months, I got the full clearance to be able to start moving in the gym and go into those baby weights. So that was about a year and 2 months ago, the other week, that I got that full clearance. And back doing tricks, back taking some big crashes, back riding my airbag, back riding BMX, squatting 140 kilos, deadlifting 140 kilos. So back at the strength level that I need to be to race. And then obviously I've taken those hits. So everything's calcified and everything's formed around all that metal, and it's as strong as it can be. So good to be on the other end of it, because that sucked those 2.5 years.
That's brutal. What, like, I mean, you kind of just, like every other guy that I've ever talked to or interviewed about an injury, everyone just kind of goes, I kind of just broke my back and I was in a wheelchair forever. Or like, it was just happened. But was there a point where you're like under the car for, because you said it was like 45 minutes or something like that you're under the car?
No, so as it rolled,
Yeah.
sorry, my battery's going low. As it rolled, it luckily rolled completely over onto 2 wheels again, or 4 wheels again. So it pinched me, but it was all slow motion, like any accident. So I had that time to like kind of go, don't get pinched, bench press, go under, and then, you know, take a bit of load off me. No, it was 45 minutes from the rural property to the Cooma hospital.
Yeah, okay. Was it how stressful was that? How did you, because it seems like you just kind of, I mean, Kai has a very mesmerizing mustache, but I don't think it would calm me down that much. Like how?
Well, he's always been like a brother to me. He's my absolute best friend. He taught me to drive when we were doing mountain bike runs when I was like 13 years old, and chucked me in his ute and said, put it in neutral and roll down. Like, you can't get another run. Like, you're helping us out. Yeah. So, taught me to drive from a young age, and just, has been that best friend. So I think in that instance, you go into like survival mode, and he was, a really big help there. But it was like that fight or flight, that survival. I said to him, like, in that moment of like going, I'm not ready to die. Like, I have so much to live for. And he's like, just keep breathing, and managed to keep that stress down, managed to keep that bleeding. My body was already at the max kind of that it could handle the internal bleeding that was happening at the time. And because like my heart had been punctured and all these organs, I was pretty lucky that I was able to stay calm. I'd done some guided meditation in the past. I'd gone on some Buddhist retreats. So fortunately, I knew how to meditate. I knew how to like focus on my breathing and just go into that trance. And I went into that for the 45-minute drive, the hour at Cooma, and then the hour and a half transfer to Canberra before I was obviously put on more of like, the lung drains and got my body stable. So, some pretty gnarly ketamine trips and everything else going on. But, it was just that choice of going, I have so much more to achieve. And, it reminds me every time that I'm like training now or like think I'm in the deep end, I'm like, look where you've come from. Yeah. Like, this is easy. This shit's easy. You chose to fight, and, that's the strength of the human body.